Hey movement community, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a topic that's quite interesting and that I've been exploring with for a few years now. And this is like to understand the relationship between mobility and flexibility training and the handstand training. So it's quite obvious that if I can open my shoulders more and if I can open my legs more, it affects my handstand position. What is even more interesting sometimes is to explore mobility drills in between handstand sets and see how it affects your handstand position. So that's what I do quite often. I will do a few sets in between my handstand sets. I do some mobility drills and I see also on camera how it affects my handstand position. So I'm just going to start today by doing a handstand position, and I show you what my line looks like normally if I'm not warmed up. So this would be like my handstand position without being warmed up. Somewhere here. This is like a relaxed handstand position for me. What I usually start with is I'm warming up my wrists. So as you know, there's some good drills. So we start with some wrist flexion. So in that I just take my hand pointed towards me, and I'm just opening it by applying some pressure from my upper body on the elbow. And I'm opening my fingertips and especially my fingers and my forearm. And I will go for around 5 reps. And on the 5th rep, I'm moving from left to right. And here I'm trying to find my tightest spot, which is usually, in my case, is like around my index finger. So I'm just going to stop here, apply some more pressure, stretch even more, and go back. Of course, I'm doing that on the other side as well. In those unilateral exercises, I always want to make sure that both sides feel kind of the same. So I'm just observing my body, in that case my forearm and my fingers. Are they feeling kind of the same? Are they feeling a bit tighter on one side? Then I will work a bit more on that side. Again, I stay with my index finger here, apply some more pressure, stay for a few more seconds, and then I go up. Now I would go again into my handstand and see if something changed already or if it feels different. So, go up. And already I can feel like my hands, I can use them more now because I warmed them up. My hips and shoulders still don't feel awesome, but it already feels better than before. Okay, nice. So especially if you have tight forearms, like myself. So this is my maximum forearm position I can get to. Here. So as you see, I need a good warm up for my wrists to get into a nice handstand position. The next one we're going to do is a couch stretch. So for the couch stretch, we're taking our mat and put it against the wall, pretty close. And then we're trying to stretch hip flexors. So this is especially important for pelvic tilt, for example. Because if this will be tight, it will affect my hip positioning in a handstand, and it might be pulling me into an anterior pelvic tilt instead of a posterior pelvic tilt, which I prefer to have in a handstand. So here I would just lean back a bit, and now I try to tilt my pelvis. So I bring my belly button in, try to push my lower back out. That stretches even more my hip flexors, and then I will stay here for a while. I would usually stay for like 60 seconds normally, and I can also activate again by pushing down my knee and push it forward even more. So that way I get an even bigger activation here in my hip flexor. And like I said, I would usually hold it for around 60 seconds, activate a few times in between, relax and strengthen and straighten, and then I will go to the other side. Again, in those ones, I like to observe, especially if one side feels different. Sometimes I have days where my right side is much more tight than the left. In that case, I will spend maybe 90 seconds instead of 60 seconds in that position. But I try to think of the same things. So I'm tilting my pelvis, stretch my hip flexor even more, and then I apply some pressure with my knee into the floor and push it forward even to activate my hip flexor. Activate for around 10 to 15 seconds usually, and then I will just let go, stretch it a bit more, open, and same thing again. If I've done that, I try to go back to my handstand and check my positioning again. Okay, so now I'm up. I can feel already my hip is feeling better, so I'm not arched too much. But if I want, I can use my hip flexors now to find a straighter line here. And I can also get my ribs a bit more in, because I have some more freedom now in my hips. And I can stay in a nicer position. Okay, awesome. Then I would focus a bit on the shoulders probably, in which I can either do a German hang, that's like in the rings, or in a, on the bars. I do it here on the, on this place here. Trying to stretch open my shoulders. The closer I go, the better the stretch is. And the more I go down, the more intense it gets. So I'm trying to stay here. Again, I can move around here. I find a tighter spot. I can also apply some pressure and press down into the bars. Stay here for a bit. And I try to sink a bit lower to work even more from my shoulders. And I come up. And same procedure, go back to my handstand. Okay, shoulders, I can open them a bit more now, that's nice. My hips, I still have my hip flexor kind of activated from before, so I have access to that. And it feels much better already than before, which is awesome. I can press more from my shoulders now, there's more space in my shoulders. And I think I can find a better line here. Yes, so that's pretty much it. That's like a few ideas that you can use in your handstand. And I think it really makes a difference if you start observing that and put a bit more awareness on that. Because sometimes we just do reps after reps after reps and we do some mobility drills after that. But sometimes it's good to integrate that into your training and just see how it affects your handstand. For some people it's more that the hamstrings are more related to a pelvic tilt. For some people it's more the hip flexors. If it's the hamstring, a good idea is also to just do some forward folds, for example. So you would just go into a forward fold and maybe grab your forearms and try to find a deeper position, or just pull yourself a bit deeper from your legs, or even take a kettlebell or a weight that pulls you deeper, that you open your hamstrings a tiny bit, because they of course also affect your handstand position. Just always make sure you record yourself after that and you just see if it made a difference or if it didn't. And I think that's a good way how you can improve your handstand practice, how you bring more awareness and more meaning to your handstand practice. Because the more you see the correlations between mobility and handstand, the more you understand like the little subtle changes as well in your position. And I think on a certain level you just want to go there, that you go a bit deeper, and this can really help. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you can take something from those ideas, and I see you in the next video. Have a beautiful day and a nice training. Bye bye.